So this is Shaw, aka Shaw the Barber, aka Skill Hands at Work. And I'm here with my beautiful wife today, and we're celebrating our 11th year anniversary of being married. And she's helping me do a slight podcast, like just audio on a new microphone set that I got. So we're gonna talk to her a little bit. This is LaShonda. Say hi, Shonda.
Hi.
And we're gonna just talk about some stuff. Anything you want to talk about in particular?
Actually, there is nothing in particular I want to talk about, but I'll start off by introducing myself. I'm LaShonda, the wife of Shawna Barber, aka Skill Hand at Work, and we're just here chilling.
Chilling, just like we always do. All right, so we're gonna talk about some things. I just told everybody that we're hitting our 11th year of being married. Tell me,
11th year wedding anniversary.
that's the same thing.
Yeah, I know, but you said like
11th year of being married and 11th or anniversary. Anyway, so tell me, from your perspective, what is it like being married for 11 years?
oh my god, it doesn't seem like it's been 11 years. It doesn't even seem like I'm old enough to have been married for 11 years.
Is that all you got? I said, what does it seem like being married for 11 years? And
Yeah, I'm just saying it doesn't seem like 11 years. But it's been an adventure. I mean, we've been married and through a whole lot in these 11 years. So,
what are some of the things we've been through that stand out the most to you?
I think one thing that stands out the most was a lot had a lot to do with our travels. Like we spent the majority of the beginning of our marriage in a country far, far away from friends and family. So that kind of drew us closer to one another. So that was a big, big, big part of our marriage in the beginning. So I think that stood out to me the most because that's when we really had to depend on one another for basically everything.
All right. So, what would you say some of the hardest things about being married are?
Sharing the same bathroom with somebody. uh, just basically one of the hardest things for me would be, like I said, it's just kind of one of those things when you're so used to um, kind of living alone or being by yourself, and then you get married, and then the I turns into we. So, um, yeah, it's. I mean, marriage is a challenge in itself, but uh, it's. I mean, every day pose challenges, but nothing we can't overcome.
What would you say it's like being married to me? What kind of personality do you say I have as a
Oh
husband?
Lord, no. Next question, please.
No, we want you to answer this. You can tell the truth. What kind of person do you say that I am?
um. Well, I will say that you are um very um protective, overprotective. You're but I will say that you, I mean, you are, like I said, you have a protective characteristic or nature, so um you care and you care deeply, but you're not easy to live with or to be married to at the same time, because you want what you want when you want it. You want what you want how you want it. So, um,
So you would say I got an old fashioned way of thinking?
um,
I'm stubborn, strong
You're
headed.
stubborn, but I don't think you have an old fashioned way of thinking. I don't think that because um, I work. If you had an old fashioned way of thinking, I'd be a stay at home mom. So, bare feet. What they used to say, bare feet and pregnant, or bare
Barefoot
feet.
and pregnant. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I would basically be bare. Oops, I would basically be barefoot and pregnant all the time. So I don't really think you have an old fashioned way of thinking, but I do think you have your beliefs and you stick to them. There's no varying from the script with you on some things.
I can agree with you on that. All right, so let's talk about um, how life has been for you career wise, both before you met me, once we got married in the military, and how the military moved us, and then how you feel it's been since, because you were talking about you get out, you work. So, what do you think your career path has been like, both being married to a man in the military, and then after I retired, what it's been like since we've left the military?
I can say that my career um took a couple turns, took a couple twists. It hasn't been easy because um of course when we met I was already in my career, so um I was already in my career, so basically when we got married and you got orders to Germany, I had to kind of leave jobs because basically when you move, I move. That was basically how it worked for us. So whenever you got orders, military orders, then that was a resignation letter for me to leave my job as well. So that was quite the challenge. So everywhere we moved, I had to then start over, find a job, which it worked. I mean, it worked everywhere we went. God has never failed us in that aspect to where I couldn't get a job in some capacity. I think the most challenging was when we moved here to Ohio. That was probably one of the most difficult situations where I was in to find a job. Um, but I'm back. Life is good. I can't complain. My career is exactly where I need it to be right now. Um, have things in, have ideas in my head for other things, so I can't complain. What about your career? Oh,
Well,
you're asking the questions
yeah,
here.
we ain't talking about my career. Uh, so, how do you feel people might have looked at you when you chose to give up your job to follow a man that you had just married?
Well, I know a lot of people a lot of people was probably thinking, "Oh my God, you are leaving your job of then it was like 10 years." But they totally understood because I was married. So it's not like somebody was just thinking that was dumb of me. I mean, um, but yeah, I think people probably wondered you're giving up your career to move away, but at the same time, it was a decision I had to make. Or, I mean, you were my husband, so I had to do what I had to do. It wasn't like I could say, "Oh, you go on to Germany, and I'll just sit here and wait for you to get back." So it was a challenge, but once again, we made it through that, and we'll make it through whatever else. Huh?
So, after being married 11 years, would you say you would do it all over again?
Heck no. I don't think so.
You wouldn't do it all over
I
again?
don't think so. Nope.
Uh, what part wouldn't you do over again?
Marriage.
You wouldn't get married again?
No. Didn't you? Wasn't that the question?
So you saying uh, that if you had to do it all over again, we wouldn't be married right now?
No.
We wouldn't be.
if we had to do our marriage over
Yeah,
again.
like if it was 2007 all over again, and I was down asking you to marry me, would you say yes or would you have said no now after 11 years?
Okay, hold up. Okay, so if we're going back in time, I would do it once.
No, 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 no. I'm saying we've been through 11 years. Was
Right.
it worth it? And would you, if it was 2007 all over again, would you still want to be in this position, or would you have rather have seen where your life would have taken you had you not done it?
I would have I have no regrets. I would have done it, but if it was back in 2007. But here 2018, I'm saying I won't do it again.
You would never get married
I
again.
would never get married again.
I agree with you. I would never get married again either.
You never know. You
If me and you don't work, I will not get remarried. But the fact that we've been together for 11 years is a surprise to me because I never thought I, I, I you think that you're gonna be married and happily married forever, but then you hit all the highs and the lows, and the low. Even though you have more highs in a marriage than you have lows, it seems like the lows always outshine the highs. When you have a hard time, you make it seem like it's much harder than when you have a good time. Like it's like on a roller coaster. The excitement on the roller coaster don't seem to last as long as the climb in the first hill,
right.
and that's what it seems like in marriage. Uh,
It's also one of those things where you remember the tougher times. I mean, they stay at the forefront of your mind than the good times. You know
right.
what I mean? And it's just kind of like the same thing. Like if someone told you something bad, you're gonna remember the bad, more than you remember the good. So
So you're saying you would marry me if I asked you all over again in 2007?
yes,
Yeah,
I
and I would too.
would.
Even with all the ups and downs, it's been well worth it, and it does. It seems like the time has flown by. 11 years. It seems like we just started last year, or 2 years ago. Really, it seems like it's only been a couple years, but really, it's been 11 years. And on the path that we're headed now, it seems like we're gonna make it a whole lot more 11 years in the future. A whole lot,
A
because
whole lot
yeah,
more.
a whole lot more 11 years in the future because we finally are figuring out how things work. It Everybody always feels like they have it figured out what marriage is going to be like and how it's going to be and it's going to be perfect. But what I found out is you learn the person that you marry, you continue to learn them every day. You continue to learn them every year. And I put up a post on my Instagram that said after I didn't understand my wife or learn my wife until my 10-year mark. I spent the whole time trying to fight and make everything right. And eventually, I think around 10 years, I started looking at my wife and I'm just thinking, she is who she is. Don't try to change her to be who you want her to be. You have to just accept her or understand who she is. And you got to work around that. And I think it goes both ways. She knows she can't change me. I know now I can't change her. And I think life got better for both of us once we stopped trying to change the other person and started uh, accepting each other for who we are.
But I think we still have those times when we're like, maybe I can get him to do this.
And
And
I
same
ain't
for
budging.
you.
And I ain't budging.
Right, and you're not budging. And then I think you also have the same perspective. Maybe I can get her to do this.
Yeah, sex.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. But that's just my personality. I am that kind of person. Uh, but overall, I think the past 11 years have been good. Would you say so too?
um, it's been a challenge, but yeah, I won't say we've had a hard marriage because, first of all, we've had a very honest marriage. No one has done anything, there hasn't been any abuse, any neglect, any, cheating outside, so I think all in all, 11 years we have done great in those aspects, you know. But we were learning. Neither one of us had been married before, so we were trying to figure this thing out. So I would say after 11 years, we could possibly say we have a little experience now. What you think?
I would say yes, we have a little bit of experience. It still seems like we have a long ways to go on experience, uh, but it seems from me doing this barbering now that I talk to people who've been married 28 years, 30 years, and they seem like they still learning and growing and gaining experience as they go. And you think that after, like you would think after 5 years of being married or whatever, that it would go into cruise control eventually, but it seems like there's no such thing. It's just always going to be work, but it's always work that's well worth it in the end.
So, you know how they say experience is a good teacher. Could you see yourself giving someone marriage advice or not yet?
Oh, I give marriage advice all the
Oh,
time.
God.
I give marriage advice all the time in the barbershop. And surprisingly, people who have been married longer than me still take marriage advice from me like I know everything. And I don't claim to know everything,
Oh,
but I
goodness.
do I, I do feel that I have an understanding, and it's always easier to see a problem that's not your problem. When somebody's talking to you about their situation, you can look at it and see both sides.
Right.
But when you're in the situation, you only see the one side the way you feel. But when somebody talks to me and says, my wife got mad at me because I went out and hung out till 2 o'clock in the morning, I could be like, can't you understand why she might be mad? You went out and hung out at 2 o'clock in the morning. And they look like, yeah, man, you might be right. But when it's me and I'm at the barbershop till 2 o'clock in the morning and I come home, my wife is mad, I'll be coming in thinking, what you mad for? You knew where I was at. I'm out working. It ain't like I'm in the clubs or this, and that. But here, sitting here talking about it now, I can see why she might be mad. But what I'm saying is, it's easier to see somebody else's flaws than it is to see your own.
Yeah, yeah,
Like you
yeah.
try and justify your own flaws.
Right, right. Good point.
So it was easy for me to give marriage advice. I mean, to me, being a barber is like being
A
a
counselor.
counselor without having to go, well, actually, like a psychologist or whatever, without having to go and get a degree. That's the thing I love about it. But that's pretty much me and Shonda's first. This ain't a video, but first audio together, and she helped me out with this new lavalier mic set that I got, and that was a little sneak peek into our life and what our marriage has been like. I love my wife to death, and I don't ever plan on leaving her, and I ain't never gonna let her leave me. So
But just remember, we both said we were not doing it again.
yes,
So,
yes. If we ever split up, we both, and I understand 100%, because I
so
would
if
not
y'all
get
meet
married
another
again.
Miss Upshaw, just remember, if y'all meet another Mrs. Upshaw, he
Uh,
said he wasn't doing it
it
again.
will not be another Mrs. Upshaw. Now I might date and have a couple girlfriends get on these garbage with me, but I ain't gonna have no other person putting no ring. Look. I ain't never gonna ever put a ring on it. It ain't gonna happen. So that was a sneak peek in my life with my wife, and I want to thank y'all for listening. And once again, this is Shaw, aka Shaw the Barber, aka Skilled Hands at Work, and I'm signing out. And my lovely wife can say goodbye as well.
Good night, everybody. Next time.
Y'all have a good one.